Hello and welcome everybody once again to Three Things Thursday. I have Catherine with me today. So thank you, Catherine, for joining me. And so today I'm just going to share my screen so you can see the PowerPoint. As we said last week, we were talking about the components of an IEP. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So we're doing the first one in that list. So we had 10, which means 10 weeks of the components of IEP. And this week we're going to talk about present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. I know that's a mouthful. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what is a present level of academic achievement and functional performance? What does it mean? We'll talk about what information should it contain. And then we thought, just to make it a little more clear, we'll give you a couple of examples of what present levels are. And like we do every week, we have some resources for you. One of them is the New York School District has, they have a present levels, a document on it. It's really nice and comprehensive, and it goes into detail, but still it's short. And then it also gives examples of what, once you do all these things, what should your present level have? And so I like it because it's really practical, and it helps you as you're looking at your own child's IEP. And the second one is from Kansas has present level examples for gifted students. So your child might be twice exceptional, as they call them. So your child might have a disability, but they also might be gifted. And so they have, some examples of present levels for children who, in some areas they might have a really exceptional skill in math, but they might really have some reading issues. And so, they have a disability, but they also have an exceptionality. And so, thought that was, something that had some examples of that. So definitely check out the links, and then we will definitely post this on Facebook with the links and everything. So those are the two resources that we have with this particular Three Things Thursday. So I'll just start off to say, it's a lot. So what is PLOAAFP? That's a lot of acronym, a long acronym, but it's present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. And this actually is one of the first things that you see in the IEP, because this is the foundation. So just think about when you're building a house, you need a strong foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, you really can't put up the walls, you can't put up the windows, you can't put the doors, you can't just stick them in mud without any a concrete foundation. And so that's what present levels is. It is that concrete foundation. It is that base on which your entire IEP is built on. So without present levels, you can't really jump to what goals your child needs or what placement your child needs to be in without having this part of the IEP fleshed out. So that's why we wanted to start with this. It's really important. And sometimes, we might gloss over this step in our urgency to get to goals and placement. But without this step, it really is hard to make those decisions as to what goals your child needs, and also in relation to the goals, what kind of environment does your child need and what placement your child will need. So that's what present levels of academic achievement. So just for this presentation, we're just going to say present levels. When we say present levels, we mean present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. But just didn't want to say the whole thing each time. So just to break this down a little bit, so the two important parts of that is academic achievement and functional performance. And when we talk about academic achievement, we're talking about, your child's reading skills, writing skills, science, math, all those subjects. And what it means is basically like what your child, so every grade has a grade standard. So, your child, if a child is in 5th grade, these are some concepts, so these are some things they need to know. And so if your child is in 5th grade and your child is not up to that level, then that's what it's talking about academic achievement. Like, where is your child in regard to grade level standards? Is your child below grade level standard in reading, writing, science, and math? So the present levels should include information regarding that. And then functional performance basically talks about, just your daily living things. And I know that one of the things we constantly say is, your IEP or the school is focused on the educational aspect of your child. Well, being able to eat and have social skills and be mobile in the school system, have appropriate behavior, all these things, if you don't have them down, then they impede your ability to learn. So that's why functional performance is part of the IEP. And so, behavior is like, is your child able to sit in the classroom? Do they have the social skills to interact? Because they do a lot of peer activity, they do a lot of group activity. Is your child able to interact with those in those situations? And so that's why functional performance is also an important part, and it's included in the IEP. So those are the two things, academic achievement and functional performance. So again, a little more detail about what the present level should have. One of the most important things is that it should have current data. So it is the most current data that you have that is important, because you wouldn't want to know, again, if you look at the word present level, it's talking about where your child is currently. What is their current status? And so that's why it has to have the most recent information. And the other thing that I think is really critical, it has to be descriptive, which means that it can't just be, oh, my child, Johnny scored 80 on this test. That's not descriptive. Yes, Johnny scored 80, so it does have data, but it needs to go into detail as to what is going to help Johnny, what's not going to help him. So it has to be more descriptive. That is one of the key of present levels. And then the information, the present level, can be, got from lots of different sources, like it's listed on the slide. It can be as a parent, your input and your observations. It could be definitely be evaluations. It could be, outside, if you have any private evaluations, all those things need to be reflected in the present levels. And then the other thing is that the present level should also talk about what the student can and what they cannot do, and really framing the present levels from a strength-based perspective is important. So what are the areas of strengths? Because if you look at your child's strengths and then you look at your child's needs, you can actually loop in the strengths and needs together to build on one another. And in the other section that we're going to talk about strengths and needs in another, episode of Three Things Thursday, we will talk a little more detail about that. But the present level should have, areas of struggles and area of strength of your child. And then I think the most critical part of it is the impact of disability. So, how is your child's disability impacting their ability to learn? So those are some things that need to be, contained in this present level of performance, the description of it. That's a lot of information. So what we thought was, in order to make this a little more concrete, we would break this down into some examples, and Catherine is going to share with you some examples. Catherine?
Hi, everybody. So one of the examples is Anton. And so Anton understands and remembers what he hears about a subject. Learning by reading or looking at pictures is difficult for him and doesn't work as well. So this is an example of something that could be in an IEP under the present levels section. There are some things to look at when you look at this example about Anton. One is what it says, learning by reading is difficult for him, but what about his reading is difficult? Is it decoding? Is it comprehension? It's not very, there's some description, but there's not a lot of specific description. It's really too generic. And also, we really don't understand if the reading is, this reading issue is impacting just his language arts class, or is it impacting also social studies and science, as it could be, or maybe even math with regard to word problems. So this isn't really a perfect example of a present level description in an IEP. So then let's look at Maria. Results of standardized testing using the Woodcock-Johnson revised WJR show Maria's basic reading skills are at a beginning 4th grade level, standard score 89. Her basic writing skills are at a 3.7 grade level, standard score 81. So most lay people don't really know what Woodcock-Johnson is. It's kind of a specific evaluation used. If you're an educator, you might understand what that particular testing is looking to evaluate. So you have some information here again, but it's really just data, and it's not really talking about how it's impacting Maria and Maria's functioning in the classroom. Why it doesn't help you with why she's struggling. And more importantly, it doesn't say anything about the supports that might help her, or the accommodations that might help her to do better with regard to this kind of, that this, you know, if you have this information, you want to know how we can help her either improve these scores or just function better in light of these scores, what strategies might work for her. So again, Maria is not really a perfect present level. So let's talk about a third one. Amy is a bright, outgoing child who socializes easily with other children. She's able to read on grade level and eagerly participates in classroom activities, loves drawing, and enjoys looking at photographs and books. Amy has a visual learning style and is an active child. Conversely, Amy struggles with mathematics and has not mastered addition or subtraction facts. She tests at a 1.0 grade level on the WIAT mathematics computation section. Amy is energetic and distractible. She is fairly easy to get back on track for brief periods, but requires constant redirecting. Sounds like some people I know. Visual aids can be used to keep her attention on learning tasks. This is a more complete present level. This, we really get a picture of what Amy's learning life is like. It talks about her strengths, how she's really social, she loves drawing. It talks about her needs, that math is hard for her, and particularly math facts. It talks about her learning style, and it gives a suggestion as to support for her, such as redirecting and visual aids. This example is maybe a little long compared to what you might see in a lot of IEPs, so it's like really like a perfect present level, but we wanted to give you an example of a well-written one. So this is something that you can compare to your own child's IEP, and it's the data is with regard to like the WIAT, like that's an important thing. But again, if you don't really understand what that testing result means, or if you don't even understand what that test is looking to assess, I promise you the people in the IEP meeting will be able to do a good job of explaining that to you, or should be, and give you a more complete picture. But they're so used to these tools, sometimes it's a good idea to pause and ask for a little bit more explanation for the kind of person that doesn't use Woodcock Johnson on a daily basis. So as far as a recap, you want to have what your child can and cannot do in each area, the strengths your child has and can be built upon, the resources your child might need, the instructional behavioral supports your child needs, and the impact of the child's disability on what's happening in the classroom. So don't forget to check out our 2 resources that Satara talked about earlier, and come back next week because we're going to continue to talk about the components of an IEP. And next week will be about the results of an evaluation. And so thanks for listening. And again, if you have any questions specifically about your family, feel free to call us. This is what we are here for, 1-800-229-2038. There's also a ton of information about all of this on our website. And, there's me and my colleagues are here waiting and love to talk to parents. And again, we're all parents who've been through the IEP process. So we feel you. So give us a call.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Catherine. So again, this was present levels. This was one of the first components that we were talking about as part of the IEP. Just a little bit of a, nugget of information, but like Catherine said, just call us and we can definitely talk to you more. So I would suggest go look at your child's IEP, look at their present levels, and it'll give you an idea, something to compare to, and something to look into, and also the 2 resources. So thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate you, looking at these 3 Things Thursday. And if you have any suggestions for other topics, let us know. Thanks.